isn't a storm is coming, they're calling me out to play. Got a feeling I'm gonna win and they think that I don't have game. I know before I've had a few falls, I've got dirt all on my face. Baby, today I'm gonna win and you're gonna remember my name. You're gonna remember my name. Gonna remember my name. I've got a feeling you're gonna remember my name.
Hello and welcome to Sup't. I'm Dr. Kenneth Hamilton, Superintendent of the Mount Vernon City School District and your host for Sup't. We have a very exciting episode planned for you today. We will be joined by Marcy Tiggs, who is the Standards Administrator for Guidance. And Marcy is here to talk about our college application process, financial aid, and to talk about how our children are doing with getting those applications in, and the role of the guidance counselor, some very important information for our parents to have. And then, in the second half of our show, we'll be joined by newly elected Mayor Richard Thomas. And he's here to talk about the partnership between the school district and the city, what he does on his downtime, and what his vision is for the city of Mount Vernon. What will things look like 4 years later? Stay tuned and we'll be right back on Sup't.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
Hello and welcome back to Sup't. Joining me now is our Standards Administrator for Guidance, Ms. Marcy Tiggs. Welcome to Sup't, Marcy.
Thank you for having me.
Well, my pleasure. So we're in that season where it's time to start talking about college applications, financial aid. Oftentimes when I talk to parents, they really don't know what the process is like. They know they want their kids to go to college. They know kids have to complete high school in order to do that. But they don't necessarily know, how do I go after those resources that help me pay for college? What advice do you give to parents, and how do you describe the process?
So how I typically describe the process is it begins actually in junior year, where the counselors are going to begin doing so soon. Immediately after the first semester, counselors meet with each junior on their caseload regarding their potential colleges for the following year, where they will apply. And with that, they look at the scholarships that the students may be eligible. So in addition to, we always tell them, don't let the sticker price scare you from applying, but definitely be mindful of the cost when you are actually deciding which school to go to. With that said, one of the things that we very often say is, if you look at your students' GPA and the SAT scores, and you look at different colleges, you will begin to see what scholarships they qualify for. So one of the examples we typically give is a student who might be eligible for an Ivy League or a Tier 1 school such as an Amherst or Williams may decide they want to stay home, and if you look at Iona around the corner, they may qualify for a presidential scholarship. So we encourage them to diversify the schools in which they apply to take into consideration from day one the overall cost of college.
Now, what role does the FAFSA form serve? Like, what is that application? When should people complete that? Is it absolutely necessary?
It's absolutely necessary, and whether you're going to qualify for financial aid or not, you should complete a FAFSA. And at this time, no one can complete a FAFSA before January 1st. No one could complete it before January 1st prior to the year in which they would enter college. However, beginning next year for students who will enter college in 2017, the date has now moved up to October 1st. So typically you've used your tax forms from the year before, which for students entering this fall in 2016, they would use their parents' 2015 tax form.
Right.
For the next year, they're also going to use 15, because
Gotcha.
Instead of using a prior year, they're going to use prior, so that colleges can make financial aid decisions sooner, so that students and parents can weigh their options more. And so what the FAFSA typically does is they take a look at parents' income, and they come up with something called an EFC, an estimated financial contribution. And that cost is what you should pay no matter which school you go to. So if a parent's estimated cost is $5,000, if they go to a school that's $65,000, $70,000, like our friend Sarah Lawrence around the corner, their estimated cost that the government has said they could afford is $5,000. So the goal of a financial aid office is to close the gap between the tuition and the estimated financial contribution. One thing that many people don't realize is that loans are considered financial aid. So when you receive your loan package from different schools, you compare them. And I always tell people one of the benefits to applying to older colleges is they have more debt alumni, which means they have more endowments, which means they will close that gap with grants and school scholarships over loans.
Gotcha. Well, that's important information to have. So this past budget cycle, we put money in the budget to ensure that there were full-time guidance counselors in all of our buildings and expanding guidance counselors at the high school. We've seen a spike in our graduation rates. I'd love to be able to say we attributed that to the additional guidance counselors, but what's been the impact from your perspective?
One of the greatest impacts I've seen with the increase of guidance counselors has primarily been at the elementary level. One of the things that we did was we instituted a curriculum called C2K K2C, which is colleges to kids, kids to college. And we did it on the 6th grade level, so it was in every elementary school except Rebecca Turner. However, it was in Benjamin Turner. And each student received this curriculum on college awareness, which taught them about the various degrees they could receive, an associate's, a bachelor's, a master's, a doctorate. It also spoke about professional degrees, such as going to law school or medical school. It taught kids about ACT and SAT. It taught them about GPAs and financial aid process. In addition to the FAFSA, it tells them about the CSS profile, which many private colleges and universities use, which is far more detailed and invasive than the FAFSA. However, it gives them the ability to give out more money. So with the culmination of this curriculum, all 6th grade students had the opportunity to visit Manhattan College. And at that time, there was a presentation from the admissions office, and I popped in on one of the trips, and the questions the students were asking were astounding for 6th grade students in our district. The day I went, it was Williams and Hamilton. And you had students saying, well, what does it take to get a scholarship? Or do you have a PhD program? Or are you Division I or are you Division II? You know, so not only were the kids exposed to this curriculum, they learned the language and they were able to communicate just as any college freshman would at this time.
Wow, that's amazing. So what advice would you give to parents in terms of articulating what the guidance counselors should be doing? What is a parent's expectation of a guidance counselor, and how does that match with the job description and expectations for a guidance counselor?
So our primary role, as I see a guidance counselor, is to improve and assist academic achievement, social and emotional development, and college and career readiness. And I see us as an integral part of the educational team in schools. Unlike mental health counselors, we're more academic counselors and part of the educational team. At the elementary level primarily, and hopefully as we grow at the elementary and middle school level with our guidance curriculum, is to be preventive and to be proactive and to educate students so that they are well-rounded, so they are aware of career and college readiness, and therefore there is a natural progression and desire for students to achieve in school because they understand the purpose of receiving an education is to create opportunities and options for themselves beyond the doors of our school when they walk across that stage, whether it is to go to work or whether it is to go on to a post-secondary environment. So that's our job. And in addition, our job is to partner with parents. When they drop their kids off, we pick up and continue the values and the goals in the schools that they have at home, which is for their students to do well, to attend classes. And with that said, you know, that's our goal. And we've done that and attempted to partner with them by every presentation and information session that we offer in the evening, we offer in the morning. So we had a financial aid presentation at 6 p.m. We held one at 8:30, recognizing that many parents in this district work in hospitals or work at night and are not able to make 6 p.m. And then in addition, every single 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade student and parent are invited to an individual meeting with their school counselor to discuss their child's specific four-year plan throughout high school.
So one of the things that I know about education, particularly as we talk about transforming communities, is that the one way to change your social condition is through education. And the guidance counselors play an integral role, from my perspective, with helping children actualize that, particularly children who are from impoverished conditions or maybe first-generation college-bound students. How has that impacted college applications and acceptance rates in Mount Vernon particularly?
Well, one of the things we've done is, in addition to articulating it, we have provided them with increased opportunities. So in October, I believe it was Friday, October 21st, we had a college fair where we invited in over 90 colleges were in attendance, from trade schools to Harvard. And then the following week, we had what we called Application Week. And we invited schools in like LIU, College of New Rochelle, and several others, and over 450 students in district, over 450 applications in district were submitted on site, where the counselor could help them through this process, recognizing that many of the students are first generation. And as I said before, our job is to show students that they have options and opportunities after high school. And so that's where we attempt to close the gap. And like you said, education moves along. And so to educate them in the college process, we also have sponsored night and parent and morning presentations for parents to understand the process, because when you understand something, you're not as fearful of it. And so that's our goal. We walk them through steps, we show them deadlines, we set them up, we assist them with submitting applications, submitting financial aid, fee waivers, every process of every step of the process, we hold their hand along the way.
That's excellent. Well, if parents need to reach you, how can they reach you? And we're going to show your contact information on the screen, but that's Marcy Tiggs, and your number?
I'm at the Board of Education on 914-665-5308.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Marcy. I appreciate all the information you shared with us, and we'll be right back. Joining us in this next segment will be newly elected Mayor Richard Thomas. We'll be right back.
What if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures. When you invest, it helps kids go to college. Believe in us, invest in us, watch us grow.
My name is Sydney, and I'm your dividend.
So welcome back to Sup Scoop. Joining me now is newly elected Mayor of Mount Vernon, Mayor Richard Thomas. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me on.
So this is an extraordinarily exciting time to be a part of Mount Vernon. Under your leadership, there are great things expected. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of what your plans are, let's talk a little bit about the potential partnerships between the school district and the city. We had a very unique opportunity this past weekend with the snowfall.
That's right.
We were on the phone back and forth trying to navigate how we could combine our resources. What has been the crux of how that has been received by the community from your perspective?
You know, everybody is excited about the new collaboration. Everybody is overwhelmed with how finally, you know, we are having this unity. And it's not talk, it's just demonstrating by action. And that's where I think the more and more we demonstrate that we are going to work together and work in the best interest of our city, I think everybody in our community is going to benefit, property values will rise, and you're going to see this new spirit of everybody reclaiming and redeeming the promise of our city.
I think that's really exciting. So when you talk about property value,
Oh, yes.
you know, where the district is introducing this bond referendum, and this
Yep.
bond is really about connecting an educational vision to the future of what Mount Vernon will look like. And there are people who don't have kids in the school district who need to know, well, what's in it for me? Why should I even vote for this bond? And we'll talk about the bond a little more later. But when you talk about property values and improving the quality of our schools, it has a direct relationship.
Correlation.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So from your perspective, what does this bond mean as the mayor of this great city, what does the bond mean for you?
It's a game changer, and I think everybody that's watching this anxiously should know that our collaboration through the storm, mind you, record snowfall, collaborating with the school district sets a whole different tone, and it helps us aim higher. So this bond really plays some catch-up that we need to do from my assessment. It positions not just the school district but the city to better serve our children. And when you look at the technology gap or the digital inclusion needs, I look up the road at Tuckahoe or Eastchester. Almost every child has a laptop. And I look at Mount Vernon and I say, our costs are very similar. What's holding us up?
Exactly.
So as you know, Governor Cuomo, thank you to the governor for working with us and supporting us through the blizzard. I know he put out an ambitious plan to help serve our children. And this bond is a reflection of the governor's commitment to helping uplift and reduce the achievement gap, reduce the technology gap, and it puts resources in our hands today at a very affordable price. And to speak, a little bit more on that, the numbers that I've crunched show that if it is, $7 a month, that's basically skipping a trip to Starbucks.
Right, and so let's talk about that a little bit.
These are things that could really benefit our children. I just say, I'm excited to see it coming, and I look forward to being a part of it.
Exactly, right. So we're putting out this $108 million bond, and 75% of it is reimbursable by the state. Mm-hmm. But the impact that it has on the local taxpayer on a house, this average assessed home of $315,000 is about $7.80 a month, right? Mm-hmm. So when you think about what people get for that, so we're offering, this bond will look at implementation of full-day pre-K. So we'll be able to service 3- and 4-year-olds, for instance, who currently are not necessarily in our universe. And part of why, exactly.
Speaking my language, I'll catch up to you in a second.
So part of why that's so important is, first of all, people spend tons of money to send their kids to daycare. That's one piece. But the other thing that we find is that kids often come to us in kindergarten without the necessary prerequisites to be as successful as kids who have had that kind of experience. So being able to offer a full-day program for youngsters in that situation is just extraordinary. And we save money later because we then don't have to put all that into interventions.
Yeah, so let me try and distill that a bit. So child care costs for families that have 3-year-olds, I'm one of them, tick the box. 4-year-olds that are in this somewhat of what I call purgatory. You know your kids need engagement. You're working possibly 2 or 3 jobs depending upon where you are. I know I'm working 24/7 for the people of Mount Vernon just like you. So the question is, when you're confronted with a bill of approximately $7,000 a year just for 3 days a week between the hours of 9 and 11 for your kid to have some form of instruction, if you're working down in the city, if you're working in White Plains, that's still a big bill no matter how you trade it. So if the opportunity to have your child be in full day pre-K for $7.80 a month eliminates that $6,000 to $7,000 charge just for 3 days a week, a couple hours a day. So there's an instant savings that's going to be able to be recouped for homeowners, be recouped for people that really prioritize their children. So on its face, this is going to really be a game changer for Mount Vernon. And while we hear the word recoup from Albany, and there's always this threat of Albany reneging on repayment, that's where we come in. That's where we constantly engage Albany and update them early and often as to what we're doing with the resources and why it's important for them to maintain the payment schedule. Because they have the money, they bonded for it. It's sitting in an account. We just have to go and get it.
I think that is really when you get to what a partnership is like, that's the real benefit of us being able to have these kinds of conversations. And I have to thank you again for the opportunity to join you on the journey up to Albany for the State of the State address. It was an extraordinary experience, and I appreciate that. But that gave us an opportunity to really talk about what can we do to really bring this city together, and you've actually kind of hit on that. So the other thing that the bond gets to actually is expanding K-8 configuration. So we know people want to keep their kids together in one school as long as possible. We know that eliminates the middle school drain that we've been experiencing in our district. So there are kids and families who have elected to send their kids out of district because of their middle school experience, and then to be able to come back to this district and have an option of high schools, one that's focused on science and technology, one that's focused on performing arts, and then one that's career and technology based, so that youngsters who want to go right into the workforce with a skill set that increases their employability, they will have the opportunity to do that with this bond. So this isn't just about beautification, although that is certainly a part of it. Of course, our buildings have been, exactly. Our buildings have been grossly ignored over the years.
I know the feeling.
But this is an opportunity for us to say, you are important, we value education, we value our children, and we're going to treat them like the precious resources they are.
And you know, I can say, you know, I'm a product of Mount Vernon City School District. I went to Trapp Hagen, I went to Davis, I went to Mount Vernon High School, and I can tell you that I witnessed some really great things happen, and I saw some opportunities missed. But that's where, you know, and why we were passionate enough to pursue these roles, and we were, you know, blessed enough to be granted the opportunity to serve. I look at this as an opportunity for us to continue to demonstrate that these investments are not only necessary, but we're going to make the changes that everybody's been talking about. So the more and more we demonstrate, the more and more people will see the value is here, it's real, it's now, the renaissance is happening, and Mount Vernon will rise. But it's going to take us to see beyond the very few differences we have.
Exactly.
And some people will say, oh, well, that's a cost, that $7 is not enough, you know, it's too costly. There are things that, again, the city should and will do, you know, and this, you have my commitment to explore whatever we need to do to lengthen that day. If we have to find nonprofit partners, actual private partners, Fortune 100 companies that are here in the region, or whatever it is, we have to have a budget allocation from the city. We'll figure it out to ensure that our school district, particularly our youngest, you know, stars, our scholars that we need to rise up, have the resources to stay in longer, and we add programming. And I think that's the focus that we have to focus on. Program to protect our children.
I think you're right on. I think you're right on target, and this opportunity that we have is really a unique opportunity. It's in what I call the perfect storm. We have a 0% increase on our budget in terms of its impact on the local tax levy. And we have this bond that we're asking people to go out and vote for in March that is nominal in terms of its scope. But oftentimes we hear, well, you know, I get my tax bill and the city says it's the schools and the school says it's the city. How do we create that balance so that people understand this really is about us working together and pulling from the same resources?
Two things. One of my advisors is a guy by the name of Mike Spence. He's a Nobel laureate from NYU Stern, and he told me, action, demonstrate. You have to provide the right information to confirm that your words match your actions. And that's what we've been doing, and we're going to continue to do that. And I just, you know, it dawned upon me that I should mention that when I was in the governor's office back in 2008, and I remember having this conversation with Senator Hassel Thompson, Assemblymember Pretlow, we were having a dialogue with the school district about where did the money go? And we pointed out, you know, I was in the governor's office at the time, millions of dollars were wasted on some project that just never got off the ground. Now, I know for a fact that today's management team, your team, is far different than the management team of the past. This is not a judgment or an indictment on anything that they've done. You know, and I say this often even as a new mayor of Mount Vernon, we have inherited a very complex situation.
Absolutely.
That we have become responsible for, and we believe based on, you know, our judgment, you know, you've been at this for almost 2 years now, but based on your review, professional review, you're recommending an approach that has the minimum impact on taxpayers. And based on the numbers on their face, parents that have kids between the ages of 3 and 4 will have full-day pre-K. There's no reason why New York City should have the only opportunity to do that. So me as mayor, I'm excited about that because I technically fall into that category. But without being biased, I can see the numbers. The numbers are astounding.
Right.
You have many parents going into poverty because they have to pay a babysitter, they have to do things, work 2 jobs, and they are at, you know, threatened of losing their job. And again, I go back to the governor. You know, he talks about family leave, he talks about sick leave. These are all things that are needs in our community. So while it may not just be toddlers that we're taking care of, there are things that I can do in collaboration with you that help our aging population to play a role in having some transitional, generational, you know, knowledge transfer, because we need it. So I just look at this and say, I'm really blessed to be in this role now, and Mount Vernon is lucky to have you at the helm of the school district, because this collaboration is going to demonstrate to the public that there's value. Their property tax dollars are not going to waste, and there's going to be savings across the board. So depending upon however many families are eligible for this service, just talking about pre-K, we're not even getting into the technology part,
right?
'Cause that's even more exciting. That's a lot of money that can be invested in homes. That's money that can be invested in our local shops and businesses. That's money that can go into other types of activities that improve quality of life.
So I don't know about you, right? But I've been in this position now going on 2 years. I started August of 2014, and I am still, every corner I turn, I find something else that I did not know should be on my radar,
yes.
literally.
Yes.
What has it been like for you?
So, as Mount Vernon's new mayor, the good thing is my lips are still on from drinking from the fire hose. There's a lot going. I can tell you it's been a case of patience. I've been explaining to a lot of people that the first role is to stabilize. We're stabilizing the situation and putting structure around the chaos. And I think the snowstorm, the blizzard, is a demonstration to the public about how we can manage very difficult situations with what we have. And we can make the appeal to give more. So that's where I think it's been a case of just patience and ensuring that we remain poised under the various pressures. But as we move forward into my time as mayor, I'm looking to be very, not in a rush, but somewhat in a hurry, because I know that the changes we want to make will be made in increments. I'm not trying to make things happen overnight. Right. I want to be very strategic and patient, because this is a big ship we're trying to right. And if we're going to write our future, we really have to get it right now. And that's my objective.
I came in being very anthropological, taking the first year to just kind of learn the people, learn the chemistry, find out where all the skeletons are buried, and then make informed decisions along the way. So I offer that as a suggestion in terms of really using a scientific approach, if you will.
Yes.
Exactly. When we come back, we're going to get to know a little bit more about Mayor Richie Thomas, the man. We'll be right back.
Call me Richie.
Dad's home!
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Welcome back to Soup Scoop, and thank you for tuning in. Joining me again is the newly elected mayor of Mount Vernon, Mr. Richie Thomas. So tell us a little bit about Richie Thomas, the man. Like, what's it like to be the youngest mayor in the history of the city of Mount Vernon?
Awesome. And, look, I have to take my hat off to Ernie Davis. He's been an inspiration to a generation. I remember when he first got elected mayor, and I was here in high school, and I was like, man, that's cool. He plays tennis, wears cool suits, sunglasses. So, it was one of those moments you're like, maybe one day I'll be mayor. And so I hope I have the same impact on some of our young people today. And, Ernie's been here for a long time, done a lot for people. And so just growing up in Mount Vernon, going through the school district, understanding where we've been and understanding where we are now, I'm excited because I get to bring energy and passion to the challenges that typically the average person doesn't get to really engage. So I'm really, truly blessed and lucky to be Mount Vernon's new mayor.
So we know you're from Mount Vernon. Yeah. What schools did you go to? What college did you go to?
So he wants to get into the grass stains and the sweatpants and the high top fades and all that. So, I actually started out across the street. I lived on California Road for part of my life, and then moved around to North Terrace Avenue near what I know to be Franco. You see, I know these things. And we go through evolutions, and even in the city. But then I moved to take care of my grandmother in about 1994, 96 on 4th Street and 1st Avenue. And I was there going to the high school. But just growing up in Mount Vernon, our young people are confronted with so many different things.
Yes.
And I can tell you that while I grew up on the streets of Mount Vernon, I was raised on the greens of Sawanoy Country Club and the Golf Club of Purchase. I was a golf caddy. And by the way, I started carrying golf bags at 10. I had to lie about my age to get the job, but I knew I had to work. I knew I wanted to work. I knew I had to help out with the family needs. But nonetheless, you know, it was always, you know, great to have Mount Vernon as a community, because when I wasn't carrying golf bags, I was playing sports. I was, you know, in Bob Semino's basketball program. I was playing football. I got very active in the Future Business Leaders of America and the Teen Task Force here in the high school. And these are things that kept me off the street during the week when I wasn't carrying golf bags on the weekends. So I can tell you right now that, you know, if it wasn't for Mount Vernon and the various programs that were available, I could have ended up in a much very different place.
Right.
So Mount Vernon is, you know, it's not just home to me, it's what made me. I'm Mount Vernon made. So I'm excited to share my experience, because I know that there are many young people that are in the middle schools that are in that kind of transition period that, again, I agree. When I was in Davis, I kind of said, man, this is different. And I would prefer to be in a more secure or different type of structure, but it wasn't available. But having seen it and know what it feels like to go through that, you know, quick transition, it's somewhat cool, but at the other point, it's kind of too quick. You kind of get there and you're in and you're out. So I just think that, you know, what you're doing speaks to the new needs of the new Mount Vernon, speaks to the new needs of our next generation. And quite frankly, it's happening in other places.
That's right.
So my thing is, growing up here and being able to come back and serve is just, you know, a tremendous opportunity, and I'm really excited about it.
So when you're not being the mayor,
Yep.
what are you doing? What's downtime like?
Wrestling with my son, my 3-year-old son Harrison, playing, you know, with Batman, Superman, and all the other, you know, toys. Also struggling in a sense to try and make sure he doesn't spend too much time on the iPad or try to watch kid YouTube, not the adult YouTube. But technology is their world. I mean, Steve Jobs coded our kids' DNA. And if you give a toddler or an infant a magazine and an iPad, you'll see them able to use the iPad very quickly. It's intuitive to them.
Right.
So I'm, in my free time, just trying to make sure that I don't become disconnected from my family. I rush home in the evenings to make sure I can put my son to sleep, see my daughter before she, you know, goes to sleep as well. She's only 3 months, but she's always sleeping, which is great. but that will change one day. But nonetheless, I just know that in my free time, I just try to spend it with my kids.
And so what's your utopia for Mount Vernon? When you look back, what will your calling card be 4 years from now?
Safe streets. That's it. Safe streets means clean. Safe streets means potholes are, you know, extinguished to as much as we can. Safe streets mean that, you know, we can walk to the store no matter where you are in town, be it 4th Street and 4th Avenue or over here on California Road. You can walk and not worry about the sidewalk tripping you up, because we've planned ahead to try and level all those sidewalks. And I think part of my calling card is going to be is just action, or all about action and getting it done. And I'm here to collaborate with anyone and everyone. I don't believe we have any enemies, because the real enemy is, you know, not working together. The real enemy is guns and drugs on our streets. The real enemy is high taxes without value. The real enemy is, you know, constantly protecting the status quo. And to me, the more and more we work toward breaking down those barriers and doing the things that we imagine that we should be doing, like, you know, vocational schools, or knocking down zombie homes to transfer some form of custody to the school district to build up, to teach our kids, you know, trades. These are things that we should be doing, and not allowing our fear of trying something new to hold us back. So my calling card is, you know, we're gonna dare to change the world.
Well, I have to tell you, I have never been so excited about the prospect of, you know, this isn't just a job for me. You know, I've shared with people, I do quite a bit of commuting to get here, and I pass a lot of places between here and where I live. But I chose to come to Mount Vernon because it is a place with unique opportunities, and quite frankly, some of the best kids I've ever worked with, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
I'm one of them.
Yeah, you are.
I'm a Toys R Us kid at heart.
But I'm so excited about what this partnership means for Mount Vernon.
Yes.
You know, I'm beyond the point in my life where I need parades in my honor, so it really is about doing something for this community. So I can't thank you enough for the way you've reached out to me, quite frankly, and expressed this partnership. So I know it is not just about rhetoric. Your behavior has demonstrated already that you are a man of your word and about the business of improving this district and this city. So I thank you for that. I thank you for being on Soup Scoop today.
Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to hearing more about you and your career. I have actually made some comparisons to you and Barack Obama.
That's cool.
In the
I
sense
was with
that,
him.
you know, young, energetic, came in, and next thing you know, he was on this trajectory to a different place in life, a different place that changed the landscape of this country.
That means a lot.
I'm very hopeful that you are also on that trajectory.
Well, thank you, and I'm going to keep doing my best to make a difference.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Stay tuned for February. I got some stuff for you.
All right.
Look at me. Hey.
Raymond, look at mommy.
Maybe the light hurts his eyes.
Maybe she's just not hungry. Maybe he can't hear us. Maybe we're not stimulating him enough. Maybe it's a phase.
Avoiding eye contact is one early sign of autism. Learn the others today. The sooner it's diagnosed, the better.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. This was a very special episode. I really want to encourage our parents and our community members to be well informed about this bond. This is an opportunity for us to really expand the extraordinary work that has been going on in our district for the last 18 months. And keep in mind that this work is going to impact this district for many, many years to come. This is an opportunity for us to get it right, fix our buildings, improve the quality of education in our district, improve property value, and most importantly, put our children on a pathway to success. Our children deserve the opportunity to get the best possible education they can get. This is a unique opportunity and the perfect storm. We are putting out a $108 million bond, 75% of which is reimbursable by the state. And we're going to be able to do this and minimize the impact on the local taxpayer. And our plan is to put out a budget based on what we know today that will have a 0% impact on the local tax levy. Now that's our general budget. The bond is a separate vote. We're looking to see folks show up in March when we vote on this bond and express yourself about what you want for your community and what we want for our kids collectively. This is a unique opportunity for us to partner with the city and really bring about some lasting change. I look forward to seeing you next time on Soup Scoop. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please go to our website where you can get all the information related to the bond, how it will impact you as an individual taxpayer, what the projects are, and how it impacts each school in our district. So thank you again for watching. Go to our website, that's mtvernoncsd.org for more information. Thanks for tuning in.
I am sensing a storm is coming.